Madrid writes Kingsley Coman to Al Nassr. Here we go. Interesting. Lisa Boyhegatana writes, where are you from, bro? I'm from Kenya in Africa. How you doing today? What's going on? What's trending, everybody? Like and sub. I'm from Kenya in Africa, the one and only MC ERASTUS. Is there any chance, Madridista, that Al Nassr will win the Saudi Arabian Pro League with the addition of Kingsley Coman to their team, to their attacking prowess? Is there any chance that the Al Hilal, the Al Ittihad, will be inferior to Al Nassr in terms of dominating the Saudi Pro League? What are your thoughts on that? Esther Kafo writes, Unapenda Messi. Esther Kafo writes, Hi, how you doing? Welcome to the live, Esther. Nampenda Messi lakini Ronaldo unampatia kipaumbele. Ronaldo number one. Ronaldo better. Who is the best player in the world? What are your thoughts on that? The best player in the world. The greatest player of all time in terms of football. What are your thoughts on that, Esther? Maoni yako kulingana na mchezaji bora katika ulimwengu wa soka ashaitokea. Mchezaji bora katika ulimwengu wa soka duniani kote ambaye ashaitokea. Maoni yako ni gani kuhusu hilo swala? Welcome everybody to the live, y'all. How you doing today? What's going on? It's the one and only MC ERASTUS from Kenya in Africa. It's a good day. I'm grateful to the Lord for this wonderful time. Like and sub, y'all. What's going on, everybody? Tamuono mini. Tamuono minini. Said hello, how you doing? Welcome to the live. What's going on? Tamuono mini said West African, East African. East African. Let me know where you're watching me from, bro. Let me know where you're watching this live from. Tamuono mini writes, oh, your accent, where is it from? Tamuono Menini writes, watching from Nigeria. All right, I am a Kenyan. This accent is from Kenya. How is Nigeria? Which part of Nigeria are you watching the live from? Tamuna Mini writes, liked and subbed. Thank you, I appreciate. How is Nigeria? Which part of Nigeria are you watching me from? Niger Delta, South Sudan. That's good to know. How is the weather there? Around the Niger Delta. How is the weather over there? Tamuno Menini writes, River State to be precise. It's all right. Tamuno Menini writes, it's raining this time of the year. Oh, that's interesting. How bad is it on a scale of 1 to 10? How bad are the rains on a scale of 1 to 10? I believe rains are a blessing from God. And when it's too much rain, there are disasters here and there. If you have dilapidated muddy paths difficult to pass through, cars stay stuck on the road, you know, we have other disadvantages like mosquitoes all over the place. But rain is a blessing from God, but when it's too much, it's dangerous. Tamuno Menini writes, you'll catch a cold early, bad roads get flooded. Is there any chance that there have been floods recently over there? Tamuno Menini writes, my immune system deals with mosquitoes. I like that. You know what is interesting? When you tell yourself that positive affirmation right there, my immune system deals with a mosquito. Even if a mosquito, an anopheles mosquito, were to bite you, there is a high chance because you have told your subconscious that your immune system is able to deal with the mosquitoes. There is a high chance that mosquitoes won't affect you. But if there was another individual, you know, who was like, I don't want to get bit by mosquitoes. I have a weak immune system. I might get malaria. Then if any mosquito touches them, they'll get malaria because deep down in their subconscious mind, they have programmed themselves that any mosquito that bites me, my immune system is weak. So I like how you put it. My immune system is able to deal with the mosquitoes. That's positivity right there. That's how you program your mind, to deal with the chaos, the external chaos, external factors. Tamuno Minini writes, floods happened earlier this year or late year, and that was parts closer to the ocean. That's interesting. I'm curious to know, floods happening closer to the ocean. Do we have people around the ocean over there? Because where I'm from, in Mombasa, there was a time that people were advised not to go to the ocean to engage in recreational activities, etc., like swimming with soccer, because there were too much waves and literally people were dying because they were being overwhelmed by the strength of the waves. So how bad were the floods? Were there any casualties, or is it just the ocean flooding and people being told not to access it? How bad was it? Yes, my ethnic group, for example, historically live close to the water. That's interesting. You remind me of this movie, The Aquaman. This guy literally lives in the water with the sharks. He's the king of the water. I'm interested to know what's the reason? Is there any story? Is there any historical past behind them living close to the water? Or is there any economic activity that they are associated with that makes them live close to the water? You know? Tamunomini writes, not that bad, all right. Tamuno Menini writes, we believe we get our strength from the water deity. That's powerful right there. Being associated with natural phenomena like mountains, lakes, seas, and rivers, there's a strength that comes from there that we tend not to realize unless we go there and access those places and stay quiet and try and meditate. Then we realize we tap into this certain energy. We tap into this ecosystem that can only be embraced deep down by subconscious when you obtain the clarity of listening to our thoughts, staying quiet, and let us feel the air, let us feel the vibration from the water. That's interesting over there. We believe we get our strength from the water directly. That's so powerful. And I believe anyone can tap into that energy, when you visit any natural phenomena. That's interesting. Do you mind sharing your tribe? Tamunomini writes, we used to help our neighbors fight wars. Well, your neighboring tribes, is that what you mean? Correct? Your neighboring tribes, is that what you're trying to mean? Correct? It's very interesting. We used to help our neighbors fight wars. Do you have any strategies that you used to help your neighbors fight wars? Any strategies that you applied? Tamunamini writes, I did a website for my ethnic group. Well, if you're comfortable, you can share, you can tap into it later and get to learn about the tribe, get to learn about different culture that stayed close to a water source, and they were compendious enough to help their neighbors fight wars. Isn't that grateful? Isn't that what brotherhood means? Isn't that what family means? Isn't that what true friendship means? Isn't that what true allies do for each other? Helping each other to fight tough times like wars. Isn't that the reason as to why we live today? To overcome challenges in life, whether by ourselves or by the help of those around us, those who care about us. Isn't that the purpose of life? To figure out things. All right, I did a website for my ethnic group. That's wonderful. If you're comfortable, you can share with us. All right, Tamuno Minini writes, it's Kalabari part of Jao. Okay, Kalabari part of Ijao. That's interesting. Tamuno Minini writes, do you know King Jala of Opobo? That's interesting. That's new to me. I'm yet to hear about him. What's interesting about him? We freed him from slavery. Wow. You freed him from slavery. How long was he enslaved for? And what was the reason as to why he was enslaved? How long was he enslaved for, and what was the reason as to why he was enslaved? Kapas says shalom. Shalom to you. Welcome to the live. Like and sub. Tamunamini writes, he made his kingdom rich. Oh, that's interesting. So let me guess. So there's a high chance his neighbors felt jealousy, so they decided to capture him and take him to captivity. Is that right? He made his kingdom rich. When we grow in life, we make those close to us jealous, even if we don't realize it. Because I believe we were born alone, we die alone. At the moment in time, whereby we tend to succeed and outgrow those close to us, they tend to feel jealous. The only way they can close that gap is if they grow together with us. But if they tend to decline, if they tend to deteriorate, if they tend to stay stagnant and they see us thriving, then there's a high chance they feel the jealous. They feel as if they have been left, you know, and that kind of jealousy is a true problem. That is especially with people with little mindset, you know. They see you grow, they tend to feel insecure about you. And if there is any people in life that tend to feel that way, then they are not your people. They can do anything to bring you down at any moment in time. I remember while growing up, I used to hear stories, you know, a family is doing well, and then the neighbor sees that the family is rich. So they decide to come and attack the family. They rape the daughters, they kill the mother, and they leave the father over there. And then when investigations are carried out, it seems that the neighbor, the closest neighbor, was the one who was the perpetrator of the attack. So we should be careful of those who stay around us, you know. We might be thinking that they are with us, but deep down they have hatred and they plot against us every day for our downfall. So pay attention to those who are around you when you are thriving up and climbing the higher echelons of success. Tamunomini writes, "We were his neighbors. We freed him and gave him land." Okay. But his trading activities made the British jealous because he removed British goods from his markets and essentially replaced the foreign goods with locally produced ones. That's interesting. That's a reason to hate. You know, over there, they took him to sea and killed him. Damn, so bad. Is there any day that you commemorate his death? Is there any time that you have an occasion to specially remember him? King Jaja of Opobo. Okay, that's a very interesting story. Being killed, damn, just because you're successful. We don't, but I think his people do. But his name is down in the Nigerian history books. That's interesting. Today I've learned about the king of Opobo, especially in the Niger Delta. Oh, that's interesting. What are the values that are associated when people mention him? What are the values that come into mind, you know? What are the values that are associated with him? The values associated with the king of Ipobo, King Ijaba of Opobo, are courage and financial wisdom. Do you know what is interesting? Those are the values that any man, not any male man, there's a difference between a man and a male. Male is a gender. A man is a different type of word. A noun that symbolizes a man with courage, a man with indefatigability, a man with discipline. Because nowadays a lot of people do several things. People are addicted to drugs. People are addicted to sex. People are addicted to chasing women. People are addicted to gambling. But a true man is addicted to discipline. Addicted to discipline. Who? I like that. From a slave to a king. That's interesting. Don't is interesting. Today I've learned something new. I'm going to write this story down. I'm going to write about King Ijaba of Opobo, and then I'm gonna tell my girlfriend. I'm gonna tell my girlfriend this interesting story. King Ijaba of Opobo from the Niger Delta. My ancestors were the ones who freed him. Shout out to your ancestors. Shout out to what they do. You know, even that teaches us, even if we had to tend to hear these stories of the past, that we need to do right things to the right people. You need to be good to good people, because I believed he was held up in captivity for the wrong reasons. Our ancestors were good enough to realize that this man has done no harm but good for the society, and his perpetrators have taken him into slavery. Then we need to free him so that he can continue preaching the gospel of positivity in our society. Shout out to your ancestors. I'm sure you must be a proud man wherever you are, associated with legendary ancestors who freed a man who was once a slave, became king, and taken captivity. Tongomini writes, my grandfather fought the European War. Shout out to your grandfather. Did you ever get to meet him? Did you ever get to meet your grandfather? Did you ever meet your grandfather? What was your grandfather like? Tamunomini writes, no, he died before I was born, but I saw his letters. What did you learn from his letters? What was the message in the letters? Tamunomini writes, he was strict, all right, he was strict that every man should, and he was eloquent. I like that. Strict and eloquent. Is there any chance you got to remember what was in the letters that he wrote? Is there any chance he fought in Burma? Okay, that's good. Giving out the little specific details, I like that. Did you ever get to read the letters? If so, what was the message in the letters? Tomono Menini writes he talked about the situation of the war. That's interesting. Does he describe it further? Because I believe wars are different. We have several wars that have happened in the past. We have the Battle of Stalingrad, you know. We have the Battle of Champions. A lot of wars that have happened in the past, and a lot of wars carry different strategies. So, do you remember any details regarding the situation of the war? He writes he was a prince here as well. Do you know what is interesting? I like the way you use the word situation. Because in life, I believe instead of using certain words, we can replace them with better words. For example, instead of using the word problem, I have a problem, there is this problem. Let's just say use the word situation. Because problem is something that can stay forever, but situation can be solved. I've got a problem. Let's say you haven't paid your rent. I've got a situation with the rent. Let's say you're not good in good time with your spouse. I've got a situation with my spouse. Let's say you have an issue with your job. or you're not in terms with your boss. You said, I have a situation with my boss. Don't use ever the word problem. That's how I feel, you know. That's how you program your mind to be able to solve anything that comes our way, you know, despite the energy that we are going to use to overcome it. I've got a situation. I've got a situation. There is a situation. There is a situation. Never use the word problem. So I like that. He was a prince here as well. That's right. Mm-hmm. Tamuino Menini writes, the prince of Abomena in Kalabari Kingdom. He survived the war. He was a survivor. That's great. That's great. He survived the war. Was he the lonely survivor of the war? I'm interested to know what kind of weapons were they using back then? Is there any chance you know the weapons that they were using back then in the war? Like and stuff. No, there were others. All right, oh, that's good. But I believe your grandfather was interesting enough. He was, he was able to write the letter so that he can able to pass on the message to the future generations. Hmm. John writes, I'm on the train to Warsaw. All right, safe journey. Take care of yourself. Be safe in the streets, you know. Tamunominini writes, it was those long rifles. The Japanese, they don't like blacks. Yeah, it's been that way, you know. I believe some parts of Africa we have slavery. And if we don't want to admit it, some parts of Africa we still have slavery. Not only that, but also we have slavery in terms of different descriptions. Child abuse is slavery in a way, you know. So it has been that way for a very long time. And I believe still, right now, the issue of racism has been a lot. Recently, we have had issues regarding football, you know, Black Lives Matter, people protecting the black man to remind him that he matters in the society. While it is what it is, you know, we need to love ourselves. We don't need to people to remind us that we are of this color and we matter. We need to love ourselves and constantly remind ourselves. We don't need other people to remind us of our values, of our existence. Tamunominini writes, we have more slavery than ever before. I agree with you. Slavery, it has been here and it will be here, you know. It will be here. Tamunomini writes, the Libyan route is an example. Okay, okay, that's interesting. The Libyan desert is an example. All right. Slavery is too much nowadays, you know. I believe there is this movie, Sounds of Freedom. Have you watched Sounds of Freedom? Have you watched Sounds of Freedom? This movie was literally banned in some studios because it was speaking about the truth. It was banned, you know, you can't promote this, you can't reveal the truth to the world. And it is what it is. Tamunomini writes, not yet. I keep forgetting to watch it over the weekend. It's a good movie to watch. You should watch it. You should watch it. Sounds of Freedom. Also, make sure, I don't want to give this as an advice, but just make sure you have someone around you, you know, some younger person. You tell them the reality of what is happening in our society today. The society we live in is a very deteriorating society. People are weird. People are weirdos, you know. So make sure you watch with someone so that you can pass them the wisdom, the words of wisdom of what is really happening in our society, because these are things that we can't assume. These are things that we need to know about and be cautious enough so that we know what can happen and what we must do to prevent such occurrences, creating the awareness in our society of the real life problems that exist today. One of them is slavery, as you have put it. It's a good movie, Sounds of Freedom. What is interesting is that the main actor, the director of that movie, Sounds of Freedom, he was banned from social media. He was banned. Isn't that weird? Isn't that interesting? That's life. That's life. It is what it is. Tamuno Minini writes exploitation of resources and people. I agree with you. Exploitation of resources and people is one of the most existing, the most renowned acts of slavery in our society today. How do you exploit resources and people at the same time? Isn't that corruption itself? Mhm. You exploit resources and people. That's weird. Our leaders don't care. Everybody's out there to nourish themselves. Everybody's out there to better their own lives. You are born alone, you die alone. Some people, if you die today, 100 people are gonna, let's say 1,000 people are gonna come to your funeral if you die today. Another person will die tomorrow. People will come to their funeral. After 2 weeks, they'll start forgetting you slowly. Maybe 100 people will remember you. After a month, maybe 50 people will remember you. After 2 years, it's only your family members, that will remember you. So that is life. You're born alone, you die alone. So make sure you're true to yourself, you're good to yourself, you're good to good people. Yeah, I agree with you. Nobody cares until you're dead, man. You might be in a situation of bad health. Nobody will offer that care. Nobody will send you that money that you need to get that medicine. Nobody will able to send you that money that you need to get that surgery. Nobody will send you that money that you need to move to a better environment until you're dead. And then they come and act as if they knew you, as if they loved you. Nobody cares. You're born alone, you die alone. That's life. It is what it is. Tamuno Minini, let me ask you this. What is the most interesting, most important life lesson you are able to give? If you are to leave a mark on this world, what is the message that you'll pass to the younger generation? If today you are to leave a mark to the younger generation, what is the most important message you're going to leave to the younger generation? Are you still there? I'm about to jump off this live. I need to get some food. I'm hungry. I'm starving. I'm about to jump off this live. Always try to do your best, no matter how insignificant you might think you are. One woman saved the entire Nigeria from Ebola. Okay, I'll turn it for the next stream. That's interesting. Alright, so I'm gonna jump off this live, yo. Bye bye.